Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about Xinfin Network, aka XDC. I know that we just recently talked about XDC, but there's one thing that I really want to address in this video, and that is the significance of September. So there's a lot happening next month, and we are going to go over everything. One of the biggest announcements that we've seen this entire year around DLT and blockchain technology was the Electronic Trade Documents Act. Apart from, of course, the XRP case updates, this was the big one. Why? Well, because this solidified the fact that we are going to see DLT and blockchain technology fully be integrated within the real world. And it's around a market that has been ripe for disruption, which is trade finance. Now, when does this fully come into effect? September 20th, 2023. This is big. So yeah, of course the act got passed through, but it goes into effect in September. And I think that this is when we will see a significant change in the world around DLT, blockchain, and also standardization around it as well. This was the start of something very special. And if we scroll down here, we do see what documents are capable of being electronic trade documents. Well, the Act states to cover a document if it is of a type commonly used in at least one part of the UK in connection with trade in or transport of goods or financing such trade or transport, and possession of such document is required as a matter of law or commercial custom, usage, or practice for a person to claim performance of an obligation. Now, what is this really covering? Well, those documents that are being capable of being electronic trade documents are bills of exchange, promissory notes, bills of lading, ships delivery orders, warehouse receipts, mates receipts, marine insurance policies, and cargo insurance certificates. What is required for a document to be an electronic trade document? Well, this is where things get a little bit interesting. A document covered by the Act can be an electronic trade document if a reliable system, in quotation marks, this is crucial to note, is used to identify and distinguish it from copies, protect it from unauthorized alterations, secure it so that only one person can control it in any one time and allow that person to demonstrate that, and ensure that once a person transfers it, that person can no longer control it. Now, what is a reliable system they're talking about here? Well, this is very interesting. So the Act deliberatively does not define what constitutes a reliable system so as to remain technology agnostic. Very interesting. With the drafters preferring to describe the desired outputs as opposed to specifying a suitable technology solution, because guess what? They don't know what they will utilize. Because again, DLT, blockchain, and these systems, they're not exactly fully transparent yet in the way that they are deemed in terms of like terminology, a technology solution, right? So that they're not fully transparent just yet on that side of things, but the Act does allow them to be utilized. And we do see down here, like, where do we go from here? Our view is that the Act in the medium to long term will be transformative to trade and finance, or trade and trade finance processes. In the short term, however, users of trade documents and finance providers will need to identify and or develop reliable systems, in quotation marks. Like I said, like they need to fully identify this and get comfortable with the risk associated with them, e.g. the insolvency of the technology solutions provider, and until the governments of other key jurisdictions adopt similar legislation. This could be, of course, like MLATR, for an example, which has been adopted most notably in Singapore, and the current proposals in the US to amend the Uniform Commercial Code to recognize electronic document or draft, sorry. It will be hard to use and finance electronic trade documents where there are nexuses to jurisdictions which do not recognize electronic trade documents. So we still need that global harmonized approach, but it's starting and it's becoming a big deal, right? And I do think that it's very interesting to note that if we look at the Electronic Trade Documents Act, this is the start of that global harmonized approach. So with that, let's go over here. So Trade Finance Global. On par with September, because this is a huge one. This goes into effect in September. We also have a ton of major updates and events around trade finance in September. I've talked about this a little bit in the past previous videos, but some of the biggest ones here to really kind of look at is, like, for an example, CBOS 2023, which is September 18th. Remember that this Electronic Trade Documents Act goes into effect September 20th, so 2 days later, and CBOS is actually going to run into it because this is September 18th through the 21st. Why am I bringing this event up? Well, it's simple, right? If we scroll down, we can see the title of this event. and its location is Toronto. The title of this is Collaborative Finance in a Fragmented World. Very interesting. And we do see down here that hundreds of expert speakers will address issues such as working together to create a suitable and inclusive financial industry, risk management in times of economic and geopolitical uncertainty, and the balance between technology and trust. Very interesting. And this will host more than 140 exhibitors and a number of networking events to enable you to meet peers from around the world. As one of the largest financial centers in North America, featuring a wealth of banking and financial institutions and a flourishing fintech hotspot, Toronto is an ideal venue for CBOS 2023. And so with this, I've actually looked at the conference at glance. And within this breakdown, we actually see what they will be talking about. So let's zoom in real quick. Let's go into the 150% zoom. And around this, there's a few interesting things that they mention. Thought leaders from around the world will share insights across areas such as ESG standardization, cross-border payments, post-trade data, digital currencies, and advancing technologies such as AI and machine learning. We also see example topics in focus: banking and payments, CBDCs versus crypto, global connectivity, tokenization, corporate treasury, cybersecurity and compliance. There's a few things within this that are very interesting. I'm very, very excited to see what comes from these events, because we usually do get a lot of updates. We usually get a lot of insights around what's happening, and the names tied to this in terms of the exhibitors are very significant names around the world of finance and also just payments in general. These are some banking giants. Obviously, we have ANZ there. There's some other big names up here as well. Bank of America, for an example, Barclays, BNY Mellon, BNP Paribas. There's a lot of huge names, and I'm very excited for this because there's a lot of also trade finance giants here as well. I'm very excited about this. And again, I do think that these events are very crucial to focus on. Now, last but not least, I do want to dive in to something that just recently happened. So shout out to CryptoNerd for this, but we do see XDC. This is part of Swift's continued collaboration with ICC and the community to create a future-ready digital trade ecosystem anchored in common standards and interoperability. And here is the breakdown of this. So this just recently happened on August 16th. And we do see the Unified Trade Guarantee API standards will facilitate seamless and structured data exchanges, making multi-bank interactions, which is a critical process, much more efficient. As adoption of the standards accelerates, businesses will also benefit from improved security and liquidity in the guarantee space. This is part of Swift's continued collaboration with ICC and the community to create a future-ready digital trade ecosystem anchored in common standards and interoperability. This is very interesting because this was an announcement that they unveiled their first API standards for guarantees and standby letters of credit. And what's very interesting about this is that this is right on par with API plug-and-play technology, which I've been talking about quite a bit. And remember, right, like one of the biggest things that I talk about with Xinfin is the API plug and play technology that is tied to it, even with Quant or even like Impl, for an example. And I do think that a lot of things are happening very quickly around the trade documents bill, because even recently the ICC talked a little bit about that bill as well and how it legally recognizes digital trade documents. This means over half the G7 is MLETR aligned or will be by year end, and over half the G20 actively contemplating how to get this done. And I think that this update with Swift is also very crucial to mention because TradeFinix, you guys remember the video that I talked to you guys a little bit about with TradeFinix and Xinfin and how they are already working with Swift? That's right, because they already are. So as we look at TradeFinix, so here we have it, right? It's a platform that runs the XDC tokens on a private permission blockchain, developed on Ethereum to enable global real-time trade and financing. Their goal is to bridge the $5 trillion global infrastructure deficit by letting institutions and or governments connect blockchain-based digital assets to IoT-enabled equipment in order to raise foreign direct investments and enable peer-to-peer financing. Suitable for private DLT or distributed networks of participants like investors, government, institutions, and suppliers across the world, TradeFinix focuses on an instant cross-border settlement mechanism through its native token XDC, smart contracts built on Ethereum platform that can be mapped to real-world contracts, XDCs that can be utilized to incentivize financiers to fund projects with low buyer and seller rating, equity exchange, which can be built over XDC for projects that want to raise capital. And down here, we do see something very interesting. And that is the co-founder of Xinfin as well, mentioning, I led formation of the first production blockchain network valued at nearly $50 million for a consortium of Indian banks and financial institutions for fraud prevention in trade finance industry. This is also possibly the first live production blockchain network in the world that is fully legal and compliant with laws of the land and is actively used in day-to-day life. Swift is currently piloting on this network. I am the co-founder of TradeFinix and Xinfin. Xinfin runs on KYC enforced delegated proof of stake governance driven masternodes, making it the most suitable and enterprise friendly public network for financial instruments, a $5 trillion per day market. Think about that, a $5 trillion per day market. Bridges relay limited set of data and transactions onto Xinfin public network from legacy systems and private blockchain platforms like R3's Corda, backed by 200 plus institutions. Hyperledger providing greater liquidity and counterparty risk mitigation to the financial instruments deployed on private network. So this is a big deal. Okay, first off, we get a little bit of an insight that Swift is already piloting TradeFinix. But then we also get an insight that they are disrupting a $5 trillion per day market. This is huge. Over here, this is from 2019, but it got last modified on August 16th, 2023, just 2 days ago. DLT Network of Network projects in trade. Networks of networks are initiatives looking to harmonize the goals and efforts other varied initiatives. These projects are an excellent step towards standardizing the industry and bringing all players onto, well, guess what? Here you guys have it. Onto the same field. Level the playing field. You guys are aware of this quote. Even if they might be on different teams. Here's the ICC DSI. We did not choose DLT, the world chose it, and now the need for standardization has become apparent. This is the ICC DSI, the International Chamber of Commerce, that also just collaborated with Swift on an API model. And also within this, okay, so look at what they're mentioning here. It's to develop cross-industry digital trade standards that will build on existing work that has been done in the industry by the Universal Trade Network, as well as other initiatives and organizations. The DSI will be leading efforts to digitize trade, notably by the creation of open trade and technology standards to drive technical interoperability among the numerous blockchain-based networks and technology platforms that have been entering the trade and finance space, trade finance space over the past 2 years. Now, within this, they also do mention a few things around blockchain-based systems. The fundamental aim is to deflate the number of data formats that exist and simplify data exchanges between different blockchain systems. The initiative's ambition is also to design frameworks and standards for cross-ledger attestation and transaction finality, as well as standards around digital identities and globally unified roles for the use of smart contracts in trade. And down here, we have TradeFinix. A network of networks does not see competition, only interoperability. And within this, we already know that it aims to be a network of networks by connecting several DLT and non-DLT trade finance initiatives such as Voltron and Swift MT798. Created in 2017, TradeFinix consists of a company with an underlying network backed by a community of 11,000 members and over 30 MSMEs. The governing members can opt for a masternode of Xinfin network, the underlying blockchain network, or opt for a hybrid council node. Hybrid nodes can combine R3 Corda Enterprise, Hyperledger Basu Enterprise, or Oracle Enterprise node with the Xinfin masternode. The project is currently live with receivables discounting and has plans to introduce letters of credit by 2020. As a future phase, TradeFinix intends to interoperate with Bolero for accessing digitized bills of lading. TradeFinix is also being integrated with TradeShift Marketplace. To accomplish these goals, DLT was chosen for its instant access and ownership over data, tokenization of assets, real-time settlements, counterparty risk mitigation, and decentralization. This is a giant network of networks. I want you guys to understand that all of this is coming together at such a crucial time in the market. And Xinfin is one of the most overlooked pillars around trade finance. And there's so much tied to this. They're already working with Swift. We already know that they have been talked about with ICC many times in the past as well. ICC has really kind of spotlighted them. And here you have ICC working with Swift. implementing this API plug and play standard platform for widespread implementation. Everything is coming together. Focus on September. We're probably going to see a lot of updates in the month of September as well around trade finance. But guys, I am so excited. I'm so damn excited about this. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely hit a like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this video, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.